And I believe we're live. Welcome back to The Change Physician. I am Melissa Cady, the Challenge Doctor, with my co-host from the West Coast, Dr. Kevin Cuccaro. If you don't know what The Change Physician is all about, you can go to thechangephysician.com, whether you're a physician or a physician ally, and become part of the community. And of course, our Saturday or Sunday salutations are to say hello to those out there, but also for the West Coast to meet the uh, not really a coast in the middle of the country. Um, and just see what's going on. And last week, unfortunately, if you were watching us live, somehow Facebook decided to just end our live video with no reason or explanation. And we didn't have it recorded via our Zoom app that we do this through. So we are going to go ahead and bring you our top at least 10, maybe 12 ideas for Christmas or the holiday gift ideas. We thought they're worthwhile enough to share again because, we like them so much. So what do you think about that, Kevin?
Wow, or if you have any last minute Christmas shopping, because unfortunately,
Yes. Yeah.
it is kind of interesting. The whole everything gets better. Like I don't leave the house. I don't go to the store anymore. I just buy everything online, and everything's fast. Like
Yeah.
I think you can still buy stuff now, and it
Yeah.
will get here in time, which is just insane to me.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? I mean, there's kind of some crazy drivers out there, and, sometimes there's crazy people even in stores. So, sometimes you just avoid that kind of stuff.
Well, and
Yes.
there's no, I didn't. Well, I don't know. I guess maybe the stores were fun once in their lifetime, but now I'm trying to find you. I don't know.
You don't know where I am.
No,
I'm
I can't
still
see the
here.
video. Like it
Uh,
the video, it's this little itty bitty teeny screen, and I don't know what happened. Oh, there we go. Now I
there
can
you
see you.
go. Hopefully it's not full screen. Uh,
Yeah.
well, why don't we start with the thing that you brought up multiple times, not just for holiday gift ideas, but um, your thing that endures the years that can do
That
anything in the kitchen.
everything the number one kitchen appliance, number one gift thing, you're gonna do it when people are getting married, when they're having babies, when they're having whatever, or they just need one. And that would be the Vitamix mixture. Um, we may have gotten this last week, but we've had this thing for 20 plus years now. My wife and I were post call one day. I think we must have been interns walking through Costco because we had a little time. It was just we post called together, which was amazing. And they had the demonstration where they had this thing that was making like smoothies and ice cream and blah blah blah. Holy moly, that thing is the
Yeah.
best product there is ever. And they had some sort of lawsuit against them like about 10 years ago, and we ended up because of that is the class action thing, we ended up getting, because the original thing that you blend in, whatever you call it, the blender container was huge, like 64
Yeah.
ounces, like tall, so it made it really hard to put under counters if you had anything over the counter.
Right.
So I ended up getting the 32, which is a squattier one, and they must have learned because they're all kind of squatty now.
Mm.
So once it's on your counter, you use it all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you always have to have a counter. If whatever you're going to do, if you have counter space for it, is going to get used. If it doesn't have counter space, then it's more likely not to get used. So you put your Vitamix on the counter where you can see it, where you can use every day. And it is the best. I mean, seriously, the best gift I can think of to give anybody. It is a little pricey though, but there are
Yeah.
some specials. Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw that there's many people write blogs, and of course they're probably just trying to be affiliates and just make a little cash off of you linking through their blog posts. But a lot of people mentioned the Vitamix. Um, and I think last time we talked about how the one thing that I always have on my counter is can I go ahead and talk about that? Or
Mm-hmm.
okay. So Betty Crocker, there's other ones out there, but it's a pizza maker. So a friend of ours out of Australia told us about this. Actually, we experienced her homemade little pizza, and she made it right there. And of course, the crust was already ready to go, but she made everything else on top. And it was perfect. Like, you just sometimes some pizzas in the oven, like they get mushy underneath, or they just don't have the right crispiness or melting everything, evenly. But this is heated on top, and it's like a clamshell, and it's top and bottom. Be careful of the edges. Don't put your fingers on the side, you'll burn yourself, as a friend of ours found out. But that is something I use for not just pizza. I can make those I mentioned last time I had the pre-rolled tortilla that's not cooked yet that you can buy in a regular aisle. We'll freeze those because they peel off after a few minutes being out of the freezer, and you can put immediately on those on the Betty Crocker. The one that we like is the one that's actually the one that has a variable heat output. And that way you can cook the tortilla. We also put like aluminum foil on the bottom one, make a layer of chips and make nachos out of it. You can put all kinds of things on it.
Can you cook pancakes on that thing?
Bet you could, but I haven't done that one.
Bet you could.
I mean, there's enough heat. I
Bet you
sound
could.
it is sound Texan right there.
You
I don't
totally.
have a Texas accent, but that one really sounded like it. Let's see what else. So there we go. Why don't you pick your next one?
My next one would be the things I'm wearing right now, which is the Bose Quiet Comfort noise reduction headphones. And there's a bunch of different ones, I think, now. Back when I first got my first pair, there weren't a whole lot of noise canceling, and Bose was kind of the ones to go with. And this is my second pair after the first ones wore out. I may need to get another pair because these ones are getting close to wearing out. But they are I like them. Like, I don't like to not wear headphones when I'm like podcasting like this because I can't stand echo. Like it really irritates me. And this is one of the reasons I also don't like speakerphone, by the way. But these things are my travel companions. Like if you fly, I don't understand how people can do it without noise canceling headphones, to be honest, because
it's a gamble.
It is a total gamble. And the one time it all hit home was when we were flying back from Hong Kong. It's like, I don't know, some ungodly flight. I think it was 14 hours. And it was one of those massive, huge planes. There was a family. I think they were trying to get to India. So I felt bad for them because after that flight, they probably had another who knows how many hours. But one of them was sick and was crying, and they were within 3 rows of us.
Oh, yeah.
Took out my headphones, put them on, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. It's like you don't want to get mad at them because, like it's part of parenting, and you
well, I don't understand. Worse. People get mad at kids on like babies on plane. I can guarantee you it is worse. Well,
yeah,
it should be worse for the family having flown with babies before, because it is horrible and you're mortified and there's nothing you can really do about it. Yeah, granted, there's caveats. There's some people who just don't control their kids, which are super annoying. But in general, it is worse for the parents, I think.
Yeah.
And a little bit of grace there. And if you don't have grace, or if you have grace, noise canceling headphones are also on the menu.
It helps with your tolerance.
Yeah, I love them. I mean, they're on every flight with me. Every flight. And then there's a backup battery because there's a little space in there you put a battery in because it's only noise canceling when you use the battery. I think I prefer the wired specifically because you can still use them as headphones if the battery's dead. But the noise canceling only works with battery, and it lasts a pretty long time. I don't change the batteries very often.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
You reminded me I need to make sure I have those for long flights. Let's see. So, one of my favorite, okay, I'll pick one of the things that you wear since you just talked about something you wear on your head there. My favorite lounge / athletic kind of clothing that has the fabric is high quality. Of course, they're proud of their fabrics too, but Athleta is like my favorite. One of my favorite jackets when I travel is like a hooded vest. It's even got the thumb holes, so it can cover up most of my hand. And it has pockets and zipper and they got all kinds of different styles too. You can pick what's important to you. To me, pockets are very important, including their like leggings. You can call yoga pants, whatever you want, but they've got these yoga pants / kind of like hiking pant, like combo style, and they're awesome and great for not worrying about things like wrinkling. Of course, if they're form-fitting, it's not too big a deal. It gets rid of any wrinkles when it's stretched. But highly, I think half of my athletic gear or lounge gear, I'm like an Athleta, I guess, proponent. I love it.
Proponent. Yeah.
Yes. If you're listening, Athleta, let me know if you need me to share some more information.
It's like, all this. That's the other thing about recommendations is because everything I'm saying, like, I would literally sell because I
Mhm.
love them. Like you were
Yeah,
mentioning, like the Vitamix blogs, like
yeah,
I
why
totally
not?
love Vitamix. Why not? And I
Yeah.
love the product. And I think it's one of the
Doing-
things. If you love it enough that you would recommend it to people without getting paid for it, that's cool. And if you
Yeah,
do, that's awesome as well.
yeah.
Um,
There's nothing
but
wrong with it. I mean, you're doing free
mm-mm.
marketing. You know,
No, no, and yeah, and you're kind of, and you've done it before for Athletica, and there was something else I can't remember, but you were like, "This was the greatest thing ever."
yeah,
It
Athleta
was,
and some other
uh,
clothes you talking
yeah,
about?
I thought it was clothes.
Oh, White
Uh,
House Black Market.
White House Black Market.
That's more my dressy clothes, but it's the kind of the wrinkle-free kind of fabrics. I haven't investigated where exactly their factories are and how they treat people, but
Yeah.
um, I feel pretty without doing a lot of investigation. I feel like Athleta is pretty solid. And White House Black Market, I'd have to find that out. But those are my two like favorite. Um, Plus, when they I tend to buy things on sale. I mean, why not? I mean, I literally have heard of somebody that I knew that refused to pay a sale price for the same thing. I'm like, something's wrong up there if you're wanting to pay full price and that makes you feel very important. Like,
What? That makes no
yes,
sense.
exactly. I'm like, who doesn't want to get a deal? Like, there's something around, belief system there. I don't know where that came from, but you're cuckoo. Whoever, if you want to pay twice as much for the same thing, even though you can buy it for half the price, like something's wrong. But
Yeah, that
that's
is a
my
little
opinion.
weird. That's a little
Yeah.
weird. All right.
Anyway,
Before I get
you're next.
completely off topic, because we could go down lots of rabbit holes there,
Yes.
travel stuff. The other gift item I would recommend, or at least I'm considering, I have to say, I'm gonna put a caveat on this, is because I've only started looking at them. I don't have them, so this is a soft recommendation, but would be a digital frame.
Mm.
It appears that the technology has significantly improved since the last time I looked at digital frames, which was literally like 10 years ago. So it's not surprising that it's improved.
Mm.
Um, what I with this, we have so many digital photos, and you don't want to print them all, because then what do you do with them?
You
And
don't have
then
enough walls
you don't have enough walls.
or
And
tables.
I mean, I'll use it for my computer. I have like the screen,
Yeah.
and it rotates, and it's kind of fun to kind of see that stuff. Oh yeah, that's that. But I'm really looking at some of the new digital frames. They're about $140, I think, for the nicer ones. And what I thought was really kind of cool is there's a, again, since I don't have one, I can't actually explain this, but there's some way you could actually, like, there's a address, and you could, if you can, send it to your friends and family, and they can actually shoot photos in. So you also want to make sure that they're friends that aren't going to go a little bit crazy with photos,
Mm-hmm.
and particularly that they're normal and they won't do anything as a practical joke that could get you into trouble. So, but they look, I just thought that was a really neat idea, or you can actually put these photos in and then rotate them. And yeah, because we have a lot. It would be just really cool to have a, a picture frame that's big enough, that's the definition is good enough, and that you could then put these pictures in. I think that would really be pretty cool, and actually probably would encourage me to take better pictures, since I'm sure a lot of them would suck and I wouldn't want to put them in the frame.
Yeah. I just pulled up Amazon because I was like, unless there's like, I wonder if this is a company that does it for them, but because the Amazon Prime or just the Amazon app,
Oh, the photo.
you can save the photos in the app, and I would think Amazon would take advantage of this and directly correlate their photos from that app into a digital frame because they pop it into our Fire Stick on our
Mm.
TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just kind of curious if this company actually is
That's a
uh,
great Amazon idea.
yeah, Amazon better get on it.
Yeah.
Hey, Amazon, holler at me. I'll give an idea too. Um, anyway, so yeah, so there are a whole bunch of them, but it looks like it's specific to their app. But anyway, just something like you mentioned, it's really a cool idea. But
Well,
if
and
you,
the other one is, so a lot of the digital frames for like this, like the regular photos, are about like that big kind of a deal. And I did see one that is larger, that actually looks like a frame that you would put on the wall. And for
uh-huh.
me, I was thinking that would be kind of cool to be mounted like an actual picture that you would use then basically picture quality photos, so high-end photos, and then you could just basically change your artwork on your wall. And I thought that would be kind of a neat thing at some
Yes.
point. Although, yeah, we don't have any art. We have very little bit of art in our house. But
Yeah, I need to ask a friend of mine. I just saw actually at a business where it looked like a true painting on the wall, and I turned back and it was a different painting.
mm, mm-hmm.
It, I mean, had like the texturing of like like a painting, but it was just like a matte photo kind. It's
Huh,
bizarre, but it
pretty
was
cool.
amazing. I'll have to ask her maybe next time we talk. I'll
Yeah,
mention that one. Okay. And so were you done with your digital frame?
we are.
Okay. Well, of course, since you mentioned fi pictures, I jump into Shutterfly as one of my favorite ways to take a photo and make it into something functional or gifty, if that's a word. Whether you make your own calendars, blankets, mugs, all kinds of towels. There's some really, amazing ways to, and especially if you get their 50% off promo codes, that always helps, even though it's still pricey. However, I've recently purchased from Walgreens and it shows up like a blanket that shows up with a Shutterfly label on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they're outsourcing it to someone
Yeah.
who's like, tons of volume. Um, so I think it's like one of the, modern time kind of cool ways to personalize gifts instead of it just being like a generic, blanket or a mug or something. Um, so that's one of my favorite little things. And you can,
I'll
if you,
throw a plug in on it for
yeah,
Sugar Fight. For years, what we used to do is we'd make calendars and give them to family.
yeah,
We haven't done it for a number, like a long time now, but for
yeah,
I'd say a decade,
yeah,
we would make a family calendar. And why did we stop doing that? Anyway, we used to do it, and then we kept it for a while for my mother-in-law. But that's a that was always really fun because you pick it out and then you have the calendar. I think it's because we don't use calendars like that anymore. We don't have
yeah.
like a wall calendar.
Well, the
But
thing is, even, whatever it is, like I know Walgreens right now, hey Walgreens, there's a 40 festive or a 50 festive coupon code. Don't forget to put that in before you check out. But like all their products right now, like if you take advantage of the seasonal promotions, it's a really good deal. And like you said, the calendar or anything else, it makes it definitely like a very affordable gift. That's pretty cool. So,
and to add on that again as well, as also this time of year is what I've been wanting to do, and I'm slowly moving toward to it, is make more photo ornaments. So
hmm.
what I've like, we set up the tree every year and my family's over, like we
Yeah,
do it
yeah,
after Thanksgiving, blah blah blah. And all our ornaments are now, they're all ornament, like special ornaments. They're not like the
yeah,
random balls or anything.
yeah.
And the ones that I particularly enjoy are the photos. And so but we need more photos and more family and different time frames. So I was like, I'll just go through Shutterfly and do it. Uh, and I started, but I got a little overwhelmed. There was too many photos to choose from, so I stopped. But you're reminding me, I need to do that probably today. Pick
Yeah.
out a couple of pick out some time frames, pick out some photos for that, and my dream is to sort of get to the point where the tree is literally all photo ornaments.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. I think and there's that little creative part if you're like me, just that little part of you being able to create something out of something you have or even if you do a collage, you can make a collage on a print, a single print like a, you know,
Mm-hmm.
11 by 14 with a whole bunch of photos on it so you don't have to have a whole bunch of frames, it's kind of fun just to create it yourself. So, um all right, you're next.
I'm next. Well, mine goes back into the kitchen, and that would be the KitchenAid stand mixer,
Hmm.
the gift that will last a lifetime. So, also pricey. I can't remember what the KitchenAids are going. Probably about the same as the Vitamix, but those things,
Sturdy.
they will not. And if you're a baker or doing, basically if you do a lot of baking or whatever, you will never ever break that thing unless you throw it against the wall and maybe you fight off attackers or something with it because it is so stout. Um, my wife had one before we got married, but I remember my grandmother, she did tons and tons and tons and tons of baking. So hers was probably, I would say late 50s, early 60s was hers, and it was still going strong.
Wow.
I almost took it just because of the memories, but we ended up giving it to somebody else who could actually use it since we already had one. But they're amazing, and they also have a bunch of attachments. We don't really use those much anymore. They had a meat grinder that we used to use a little bit, but we don't eat a lot of meat anymore. I can't remember if we ever used the pasta attachment. Maybe once. A lot of you kind of also want to make sure your attachments kind of work, and so I find it a little bit clunkier than say doing something with the Vitamix, because it's just you blend it up and do whatever. But man, I love the KitchenAid, will last you forever. And if you don't know how to bake and you don't know how to cook, that would be the first thing you need to do, because anybody who doesn't know how to cook or even do basic baking, I seriously just don't understand that at all. Like, it's good for you. It's fun to do. You like what you end up making good food, and it saves you a crap ton of money. So,
Yeah. And
it,
socialize.
oh, and not yeah, it's not a socializing for sure, but man, it is. I don't know. I literally don't understand people who don't know how to
Yeah.
cook or say, I don't like to cook. It's like, there was
Oh no.
Robert Rodriguez, the director who he
Oh yeah.
directed like the Shark Kids stuff, but the big one was the trilogy for Once Upon a Time in Mexico,
Uh-huh.
and the DVD for Once Upon a Time in Mexico that's got Antonio Banderas and Selma Hayek, which was really fun movie. There was
Mm.
the cooking show on it, or cooking in the DVD extras. There was like his Robert Rodriguez cooking school, and there's two ideas. One, he's like, you should have a menu in your house that or at least should have ingredients in your house that you can cook like two of your favorite dishes at all times. So if people just randomly show up, and I thought that was really cool. He actually had a little menu that he
Wow.
has in his house. Is like, oh, you want anything off the menu? And the second thing, but it has this comment, because he was teaching how to cook a dish called puerco pibil, which is famous in the movie and with Johnny Depp's character and all this stuff. But he goes, this is my recipe for doing. He goes, I don't understand the people who say they don't know how to cook or they don't want to how to cook.
Oh no.
I'm not going to use the language, because knowing how to cook is like knowing how to have sex with the F word. It's something you all need to know how to
It's like
do.
a basic necessity of
Yeah.
living.
So I always think about that when people are like, I don't like cooking. I don't want how to cook. And I'm always thinking about that phrase. I don't say it, but I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what else does that tell us about you? But it's like a basic life skill, right? So
Yeah. The
anyway,
fact
know
that
how to
people,
cook. And when you know how to cook, get a KitchenAid and get a Vitamix, and you'll be in good shape.
yeah. Well, speaking of the kitchen, um, I was going to mention your scraps from your kitchen. I have discovered this
You want
thing.
to have those for Christmas? My
No,
kitchen scraps.
no, but what do you do with your scraps if you're like me and you have one of those turling, tumbling little composter things in your backyard that I need to get rid of, because essentially I'm completely ineffective at creating compost from one of those. Even though I got a city rebate for it, it's not been really real or practical for me. But I came across this Kickstarter opportunity. Kickstarter is great, by the way. There's some really cool things that so the Lomi, it's called Lomi, Lomi. I think the company behind it's called Pella, Pela. But anyway, Lomi is the name of this device, probably about this big. The top kind of just spins off, and it has a carrying little bucket in it that you pour any of your, banana peels or whatever scraps from your greens, or even some of the lint from your, dryer that you're like, what do I do with this? Instead of just throwing it in the trash bin. But you can put a whole bunch of stuff. There's like 3 cycles. One of them specifically for putting back in the soil for regenerative kind of planting stuff. And I love it. And I don't use it every single day, but I definitely use it with some frequency. I use it a lot more, when you've, had to cut back some things in the yard or whatnot. But it breaks it down. You put a tablet with this bacteria that help with the whole process, and the only thing you have to replace is the little carbon. There's 2 places in the back and on the side that you had to put these carbon little pellets in, and within 30 hours it turns it into what looks like soil. So it's pretty cool, and definitely a worthwhile expense that you can, you do have to get some, haven't quite mastered exactly when I have to do the carbon change outs because I don't use it with the frequency. Probably they're saying like every 3 or 4 months or something to change it. But I would, if you want to have something that immediately composts, puts it right back in the earth, and you get some nutrients back into your soil, for any, as you said last week, for anyone who's a gardener, this is not a bad choice for creating something that's can be used over and over again. And I think they have one now that you can see the process, where they have like a little window at the top, so you can kind of see how it's changing as the cycle goes on. But it does make a little noise, so I have it in my sunroom, and so you wouldn't put it right where you're sleeping. Um, there you go.
You don't
Blow
want to
me.
compost in your bedroom?
I would hope not, but small places might have it nearby. But you could have it depending on your counter space. You could have it, and they have some different colors, so it looks a little more like appealing. Um, but yeah, you could put it on a counter space somewhere, but it does take up a chunk of the room there. But if you want to use it all the time, like you said, out of sight, out of mind, if it's right there, you'll use it a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's I think this key for any, particularly, well, anything really, is make sure it is easy accessible. I mean that kind of goes with the whole friction thing with habits,
Yeah,
is
change.
lower the friction to use it. Because if you have to remember that you have it, pull it out, set it up, blah blah blah, then it doesn't get used
The
nearly as
default
much.
is not doing it.
The default is definitely not to do it. And we have a couple things that we don't use often that I'm still glad that we have. Um, but they aren't, we just don't use them all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, you got another one.
I do have another one. And then actually, as I was talking, I just remembered another one. But this one is Marie Sharp's hot sauce. So Marie Sharp's habanero hot sauce. They're made out of Belize. My sister-in-law gave us a bottle of that was 15 plus years ago, I think. I love it. That's my favorite hot sauce. I mean, I like a lot of different hot sauces, but my default would be Marie Sharp's. I particularly like the carrot base, which is the orange of any spice level, from hot to super extra hot. They're all good to me. Most of my family prefers the green, which is
The green cactus.
green cactus one, and they all really love that one. I like that one too. I just prefer the other one a little bit better. But I love Marie Sharp's. I think they're a great hot sauce, and probably they are my favorite hot sauce out of all hot sauce.
Well, there you go.
You need to serve them everywhere. Yeah.
And I can't handle the sauce that's spicy. So
Really?
I'm a mild and I can do medium, but yeah, I'm not hot. Even though I'm half Mexican, I
And
can't
the
do.
weirdest thing is, my wife and I both eat hot stuff, but different foods hotness. We like there's a Mexican chili oil at a Mexican grocery store near us that it is hot, like it is super hot, and I like it's so hot I couldn't eat it.
Wow.
And I usually can eat hotter than my wife, and she loves it. And it happened with something else. It's like, I don't know, it's just this bizarro thing that I'll find something that I think is really hot, and I don't want to eat it, and then I don't prefer to, and she'll prefer it, and then there's something I think this is perfect, and she's like, oh, that's too hot. So maybe there's something different with people's capsaicin receptors or something.
Yeah, weird. I don't know. Yeah, my husband loves spice. He'll eat jalapeno like, it's like an apple, just bite into it. But habanero is the one thing that there's something in its contents that really disrupts his gut. It's anything, I mean, he can handle the spice of it. It's just it messes with him. And yeah, so there's something about that one, but everything else, serranos, jalapenos, no big deal. It's like nothing. It's like a mild pepper to him, like, something spicier to me. All right. So because I mentioned Kickstarter, everyone's going to hear some of these things that I've like jumped on board with Kickstarter, but Diggs, go to diggs.com. And there's 2 items that, our puppy just turned a year old on Friday. So he's officially crossed the 1-year mark at 23 pounds. But we got the Revol, Revol. It's a collapsible crate. It locks up, once you pull it up, you can lock it in place. It's so nice, and so it has a removable tray, and it has you can get a nice dog pad that turns out after, with a couple accidents, that the cover for the like orthopedic kind of plush little dog pad has an insulating waterproof cover underneath the actual cover. And so it literally has locked away any moisture from getting all the way through. And it's easy to wash. So gotta say it's fantastic. Even has a puppy divider if you haven't, graduated into the full size yet. Um, so that's number one. We actually thought he was gonna be a lot smaller, so we ended up getting a small, and now we have a medium. Now we use a small up at my parents, just leave it there, so it's a lot easier. But the other item that is just become available called a Venture, Eventur,
Same company.
same company, and it's an inflatable dog crate. And when you go to 5 or 10 psi, I don't remember how much, you pump it with this weird pump. And I actually hide it under the backboard of the trunk in case I need to refill it. But for a 3-5 day trip, it holds its air well, so I keep it in the car. But literally, it's not very exposed, has a tiny grid so that the dog can look out if it's up close, but otherwise it keeps the stimuli out from overstimulating them in general. Um, and it's ventilated, it's great. So there's all different sizes. I think we got the medium. And it works wonders for traveling. You can secure it in the car in the back too. They have all these, things, but it's so like tight squeezed in between the seats and the back that we don't even have to really restrain it. It's kind of hard to, but I highly recommend that, especially because it folds up about this high, this long. You can store it so easily. So highly, highly rated for Diggs Revel and the Adventure. If you have a dog or, a cat for that matter, it's got like that kind of plastic that it's really durable. It's hard for them to scratch through it.
From the scratch through it.
Yeah. I have not even seen, I mean, there was a couple times out of excitement, our dog was scratching on, but I haven't seen any damage from that at all.
Hmm.
So there you go. Any others from you?
Well, as we were talking, I was thinking about appliances that are not on the counter that we actually use.
Uh-huh.
And the one that we use probably the most, or at least I use most of this, is precision cooker. Also, they call them the sous vide. Well, you're cooking sous vide, but they're a precision cooker. The very popular brand is Innova. We have a Gourmet. I don't think the brand is necessarily important as is the functionality of it, but what they do is like sous vide, you seal in the bag and then you actually cook it in the water. And the really great thing about sous vide cooking is the precision that you have. And so you can cook super low for long periods of time. You don't really worry about it overcooking as much. And so it was really hot. Probably, again, it was just pre-pandemic. People were going crazy with these things because the technology had changed. Where before you had to buy like this big box that was like a big water filled box, and it would heat up all the water that way, and then you would put the bags in. And what ended up happening is for agar, for basically biology and growing stuff, they had these like cylindrical things that they would put in, and they would heat the water that way to grow at specific temperatures so that they can cultivate certain strains of bacteria or whatever. And the brands that were making these medical devices saw that there was these cooking, like these like restaurants and stuff were buying these. And then they found out there were chefs that were using them because they made sous vide easier. It was, you could just take a big pot of water and you could stick the stuff in. And so then everybody started releasing these things. And again, you could look up, there's Innova, there's Gourmet, there's everybody and their mother now. And they're a cylindrical thing. And they like, mine has a clip, some other might have something else, and you stick it on the big pot with water, and then you can seal up your food in the bag. You can put the seasonings in or whatever. You want to make sure it's as airtight as you can possibly do it. A lot of people do a vacuum seal. We don't have one of those because we don't do it enough. But man, they're really great for well, basically cooking, mostly meat. So that we have backed off a lot because I don't do a lot of meat. You can do other things with it. But I've made a lot of ribs in my life, and I used to do them strictly on I have a big green egg, which is another great thing if you're into grilling. But the sous vide, man, you can hit the right temperature, and there's, you want to do it at 140 degrees, you want to do 155, and there's reasons to do all this other stuff. but you cook them in the sous vide,
Mm-hmm.
and then you finish them on the grill, and they're so meaty and juicy. Like my ribs were good before, just straight off the grill. These ones are meatier and juicier though.
Mm.
And you can do it with steak, you can do it with chicken, you can do it with all this stuff. I have done it with hams. Like a couple times we cooked hams from certain holidays, and the hams usually come sealed in a bag. And so you can just heat up your ham using this thing, super
Mm.
easy. And then if you're trying to cook for a lot of people, like again for a holiday, all you need is a pot and an outlet, so it doesn't take up your oven, doesn't do anything else with that. And then you can finish once you have the because most hams are pre-cooked anyway. Once you get the ham to temperature, then you can finish it off in the oven and with the glaze again.
Mm.
So if you like to cook and you like precision, and really if you like to eat meat, then I would definitely recommend a precision cooker. That's a great kind of gift, and maybe someone wouldn't buy it for themselves, but if they like to cook, they're probably going to end up using it.
Nice. Cool. Um, well, my last one is it made me think of when I started talking about Kickstarter, another one I did, Bird Buddy. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this to you.
Uh-uh.
So Bird Buddy has this technology where essentially it has like a bird feeder with a little camera that connects to the app, and it has AI to identify the bird, and it'll notify you as soon as the bird gets captured. Problem is, the way mine was designed with all my squirrels, I was just getting squirrels, and of course, it was solar
Squirrel
powered.
buddy.
Yeah, yeah, it was literally all I kept getting was just this like squirrel up in the camera, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna get anything. So he ate up all the freaking seeds and nuts and whatever else I had in there, and it would run out of juice because he was there so much. And so anyway, I gave up on that, but they came out with a hummingbird feeder
Hmm.
and a bird bath and this stand that has a Dremel kind of thing where it like basically keeps the squirrel off. So that's supposed to be delivered this spring, I'm hoping. There's never a guarantee on Kickstarter, but most of these, pretty reliable companies are going to follow through giving you something after production. So it's like pre-production payment. Um, and so I'm also going to put that bird feeder up there on this special stand where hopefully all of them will be protected. But it'll be so cool just I think hummingbirds are amazing. I've seen so many specials on these and documentaries, and um, just just their capacity and their requirements, demands on them. It's they're beautiful creatures, and all these different colors they come in. If you really pay attention to nature and like hummingbirds in particular, there's nothing like them. So I'm excited for that. But I think if you are a bird lover, hummingbird lover, well, I guess if you're a squirrel lover too, you could probably get some of
You need a
those.
squirrel buddy.
um, but yes, that. Oh, and while I'm at it, I'll mention a totally different. I don't even know the company. I'll have to. If someone's curious, send a message to Dr. Kevin at the Change Physician, and he can reach out to me. But there's a squirrel-proof bird feeder. It basically has little levers on each side. You can fill a huge like gallon of sunflower seeds, which is what I use. And when a squirrel lands on it, this lever pushes down and closes the holes so it can't get to them. And
Interesting.
the pigeons can't get on there because they're too heavy, but they go
Oh,
down to the ground of the stuff that fell to the ground. And of
yeah,
course, the
yeah.
squirrel does that too. But what's interesting that I've just experienced is I have about a dozen sunflowers that are blooming because some of them didn't get eaten. And it turns out like this metal structure I have on a pole that's feeding all the birds around here are creating sunflowers down below just as a byproduct. So
That's a cool idea, actually. You could put that in a corner of a yard and then just have like a
yeah,
sunflower
corner.
thing. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, and obviously the sunflower seeds are good enough to like, actually germinate. So there you go. Those are all mine. Did you have any more, or is that our finale?
I think that is our finale. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I wish
Okay.
there's always something. Oh, um, the last one, I don't think I talked about this. I may have talked about it last year, is for the audio files. And I think I may have actually ranted about this on a Saturday ranting that I did, but they're the Sonos speaker system, and I don't really care which speaker you get. We have 6 of them now. I bought 2 of them. So we have a friend who's an audiophile who has a whole bunch of high-end speakers. And when we bought our first big TV, the first TV we've bought in 12 years was a couple of years ago. And we finally got a big TV. It's like a 70-incher.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought that because I got sick and I went to a movie and I got so mad at the 30 minutes of commercials in front of it. I was like, this is stupid. I'm not doing this anymore. So I bought this TV and then I wanted to get the sound better. And he's like, you know what? I have all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. He goes, but just buy Sonos. I'm like, okay. And Sonos is this high-tech audio company, and they use a lot of computer technology in their speakers to create the sounds and to adjust them. And the speakers actually talk to each other, and then they will modulate. If you have more than one, they'll modulate the sound depending on stuff, everything is. So we bought 2 one SLs from Costco last year on sale and put them in our living room, and they're freaking awesome. Like awesome. Like I like music. My wife doesn't like music as much as me. So when she works and I'm home by myself, I'll just blast the music and I just love it. Nice. But I wanted to get them for the TV. But they're not super cheap. And I was waiting. This year, there was a sale again. And I won't give you the whole thing. Buy your speakers from Costco. Do not buy them from Sonos. So the Costco deals are better than Sonos's themselves, even after I literally emailed the CEO and said, I don't understand how this is. But the speaker package through Costco, you could get the Arc sound bar. I got the subwoofer and I got 2 of their new speakers, the Era 100s, and set it up. And they're freaking awesome. Like they are. And what I particularly love is they're wireless. So, you plug them in, but there's no other wiring. You don't need any the little amp thing. You don't need you need to have to do any of that stuff. Once you put them in, you download the app, you get the app walks you through the process. The speakers do their thing. They talk to each other in some magical way. Maybe there's little elves in there. I don't know. And but they sound so cool. Like when you get if you're watching something that has like the like Dolby Atmos sound or whatever, and they're the best. I really like
them. Are
them.
they all wireless?
They're all wireless.
Wow.
Well, at least the ones that I know of. So okay. I'm assuming they are because the sound bar is wireless, the subwoofer is wireless. And wireless meaning you still have to plug them in. Yeah, but there's no wires that you have to connect to anything else because the way that they all work is all they talk to each other through your network, through your home network. Yeah. And you do this thing and they have this true tune thing and you walk around with your phone and it listens to your phone and gets the sound all right and super easy to set up. Nice. And they sound freaking amazing.
Yeah. I just looked at Costco and Sonos. I think with the holiday specials, or at least the sound bars, looks like it might be similar in price.
Yeah. So my Sonos rant when you're doing this holiday shopping or whatever is I've been waiting for these. Like so a year ago, I bought them on Black Friday, the Sonos speakers from Costco. And so I was waiting and I've been waiting a year to buy the speakers. And then pre-Black Friday, Sonos had a special little deal. They're like, oh, we're giving a 3-hour live stream. It's like on a Friday afternoon. I logged into this thing and they're blah, blah, blah. We're going to give you this special code. It's going to be this greatest thing ever. And so they got the special, gave you a code for their 3-hour special. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, okay, this is going to be the best. I can't see how a company would literally do a 3-hour live stream, say it's the best deal, and it's going to be any better than this. So I bought the package. And I swear to God, the next day Costco came out with their Black Friday. Mm-hmm. The same exact package I bought was not only $20 cheaper, but came with $140 in Apple gift cards, another $80 off the wall mount for the sound bar, 30% off the accessories. So that would have been another $200. Well, it was $250 extra in value when you consider the gift cards and the percentage off. Because I ended up buying speaker stands as well as the Arc mount. Yeah, and I was so mad. And so I emailed Sonos and nobody's around. And then I emailed the CEO because they actually have his contact information. I'm like, I can't believe you did this. And he gave me, had some salesperson contact me, which I appreciate that. But when I finally talked to this lady, she's like, well, we don't have any control over the gift cards and this one. What we can basically do is give you $50 off.
Hmm.
So, and then I looked again, and Sonos had adjusted their prices. So the special 3-hour rate that they had was no longer special 3-hour rate. It was like for basically everybody and their mother. And now they were giving other things. So I'm like, I will not buy from Sonos. I love their products, but man, their sales and marketing sucks. So
Yeah.
just buy them through Costco because they're way better.
Well, I just mentioned I looked on Sonos site just to see, and I don't think it's on Costco, but they have this turntable set that like Bluetooths wirelessly to the speaker. So if you have some old records, you can play directly into your speaker, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, if you were I'm not
Pricey.
a super audiophile like that, but there are people who are really into although kind of wonder because they think the thing about the records is they say it's warmer, and I don't know if that would translate, but the speakers are phenomenal. Like they're awesome, like super awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. All right. Well, why don't you take us out there, Kevin?
Okay. Well, it is welcome to Sunday Salutations with the
Yes.
Change Physician podcast here. Kind of closing out the year. Hopefully you get your shopping done. We have 7 days till Christmas Eve. Gave you some suggestions. Some of them are a little pricier, some of them are not, but hopefully you guys can get some value out of that. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or just want to plug something, let us know what you thought about this. In particular, I would love to get your feedback on a digital frame because I'm looking at those. You can email me directly at the change. Wait, what is it? Dr. Kevin. Dr. Kevin at thechangephysician.com. Until next time, stay well.
Take care.